All right, Hugh, thanks for having us. Appreciate it. So as I guess they do in all these, if you have questions, we will be keeping our eye out and then answering them as we go along. So feel free to ask any questions. So to kick it off, I want to ask each of the streamers, okay, to just quickly tell us their story of their journey and what brought them to this life as a creator. So that way you get a sense, not just of what they do, but then also what got them here. So Sushi, you want to kick it off?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Dan, and thank you everyone for coming out this early. I don't know how you're awake, but I started in a closet, and I wanted to build my live show and iterate over time. And the thing I love about live streaming is because you can create your own show and keep on adding more and more. So I advanced to a living room, and then a garage, and now I'm in a warehouse all the way in Montana, putting on these live shows with micro productions and using all these AI cameras to self-produce. And that's what I love about this platform. Thank you.
Hello? Hi, my name's Mizkif. How I started as a streamer, I'm a massive degenerate. I sit at home all day and play video games, and I would sit on Skype and make my friends laugh. So I said to myself, hey, why don't I try being a streamer from that? I tried it, and I failed absolutely miserably. I actually got banned. I never told you about that, Dan. I got banned for streaming World of Warcraft private servers. I don't know if there's any WoW fans out there. You guys are old enough. So
too early for the WoW fans to be out.
Yeah,
okay?
It's way too early. Or too late, honestly. It could be too late. So I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and I realized I didn't do a good job of, because it's very hard to grow on Twitch organically. So I started making YouTube videos about streamers, because I knew that they would watch the videos on stream, which then they would go to my Twitch channel, and I'd be live. And it worked, and I slowly grew up from like just a few viewers to a couple dozen, and all of a sudden it kept growing, growing, growing. And now I'm here at South by Southwest.
All right.
Hello.
Emily.
Hi everyone, my name is Extra Emily, and I call myself a COVID baby streamer. So I started in 2020 when I was really bored during COVID and I had nothing to do. And a lot of my content was focused on gaming on the Wii. So I love Nintendo games and whatnot. But I eventually grew out of that, and now I focus on a lot of in real life content. So I call it like live vlogging, and I just kind of do crazy challenges IRL. And I love being a streamer, and I'm so grateful that I get to do this for my career. So
she
thanks,
taped
Dan.
herself to my wall to let you know what kind of content she does. She taped herself to my wall, and last week she had chopsticks and drank water from the chopsticks out of a, what was it?
I drank a gallon of water with a fork. But, you know, anything for content, right? So it's so cool that I get to do this.
Well, one thing that, this isn't by chance that I got these three to join me, that a lot of people think of Twitch and then think, oh, it's gaming. Oh, it's gaming. And what I've often said is gaming, Twitch has never been about gaming. Twitch has always been about talk. It's just that when it started, the streamers were gaming because that gave them something to focus on, but people showed up because of the talk and the people and the communication and all that. And the interesting thing is what has transformed when Twitch first started, it started as Justin TV, which was just filming your life. Then it was gaming, and now much more there's people like these three streamers which are out just like filming their lives.
Yes, Dan. Also, I have a question for you. All the streaming platforms support live, but what makes Twitch so different?
Well, I think this is one thing that, especially for anyone who uses Twitch, and I'm going to guess we have some users of Twitch in here, but some of you are like, Twitch, that's that gaming thing, and you've seen it a few times, and you just think live streaming. Well, a lot of folks have live streaming. YouTube has live streaming. And in fact, I think we were guilty of this at Twitch for a while, where we were worried about, oh, YouTube live streaming or Facebook or all this other stuff. But the thing that's so unique about Twitch is all the other platforms, really they're VOD platforms that add live streaming, okay? And the easiest way to describe this is, of course, we've all swiped on TikTok, and you swipe to the next thing, you end up on a live stream. You're not going to stay there for more than 10 minutes. I challenge anyone to not swipe on TikTok for 10 minutes because you're just programmed to do it, okay? And the difference with Twitch is people pull up a chair and stay a while, okay? People will spend 2, 3, 4 hours just watching a Twitch stream, and that builds a sense of community. So the thing that makes Twitch so distinctive is the folks that are watching all recognize each other, and they all talk to each other, and they chat back and forth with each other. And that sense of community is what really bonds, you know, the experience together. And I often use the phrase community-centric live streaming because really it's not just somebody up there streaming, it's all the people that are watching. So I'll throw this out to you guys in terms of your communities, because I know that's a huge thing. A big thing about what Twitch streamers do is manage their communities. So talk about how y'all think about that.
I think that's a great point, Dan. I just found out recently that my community has movie nights without me. I'm like, that's so cute. Like, they can hang out in the Discord together, and I'm usually like busy streaming or whatnot, but they watch movies on their own. And the fact that they can find friendship in the community means a lot. So I agree. I think Twitch is really unparalleled in that direction.
Yeah, so we do movie nights on Thursdays if you guys want to join us. It's our offline chat if you guys want to join us for that. But what I personally know about my community and the growth that I've had with my chat is they're very similar to me, where they are very centric on Twitch. A lot of other platforms have grown over the years, obviously TikTok being one of the biggest ones, but one thing that Twitch does have is it has a very strong gaming community, and I do think that community has grown up a little bit, which is interesting. My community used to be very gaming focused, and they used to be very, degenerate is the word. But as I got older, my community has also grown up, and my community has gone from a community that only cares about video games. They're still there, but they care more about things such as growth. They care about progress in someone's life. They care about motivation, which is a very interesting thing because you would think they only would care about gaming, and that's what Dan's talking about. Twitch nowadays is about everybody. It's not just about these where it started, which was gaming. But my community is a very invested Twitch community. They are not on any other platform. They actually grow a lot of other streamers because they go into their channels and they'll find that if I interact with her a lot, she'll go up a couple thousand viewers simply by us just hanging out because my community is so centric on this website. But they're great. I mean, they're absolutely fantastic, but they're basically run-of-the-mill degenerate gamers who just sit on a website all day and talk to each other. But you don't really have that anywhere else because there's no community on TikTok. Everyone's on TikTok. When Twitch is just basically just a bunch of people who kind of have similar ideas on one website, and it is a very nice community to have on Twitch.
So one of the things I sometimes talk about is we use the phrase social media, and I sometimes joke, actually, nowadays, most social media is really anti-social media because, in fact, it's not very social to sit by yourself swiping. And we all yearn for belonging and a place to be, and I think that's what people find within the channels. And that's why on Twitch, they may only watch 3, 4, 5 channels because they really want to, and it's as you said, Emily, they want that sense of belonging. The phrase that I used to always say, it's kind of like the tagline for the TV show Cheers, a place where everyone knows your name, because you show up and they say that. All right, so now I'm going to talk, and a big part of content creation is doing new stuff, and where you're going. And I think that's one of the interesting thing about these 3 creators. So I'll start with Ms., and then we'll go around talking about what you're doing now in terms of content, both now and in the next year or 2. Ms.
So like I was telling you guys, what I used to do is just play video games all day. And that's all my community cared about for years. They just wanted to watch me play video games, get mad, throw my controller, make fun of me for being bald. But as I got older, I can tell my community has gotten older as well, and they want to see more progression. And what I've done recently is I actually opened up a gym in Round Rock, Texas, where a lot of streamers go there to collaborate, a lot of streamers go there to market themselves, and at the same time, it's marketing the gym. So what I've been doing a lot lately on stream is I've actually been making businesses, which grows my business because I'm streaming it, but also grows the business itself. So it's kind of like a dual thing. She's an example of someone that goes there. She streams there almost every single day. It grows her platform, but at the same time, it also grows my gym. And that's what I plan on to do for the next few years. I want to buy a house and also try to fix it up and see if I could do that in 100 days. So I'm trying to do things that more cater to myself, which is a man who's hitting 30 years old. And that's what I plan on doing for the next few years.
Emily.
Yeah, like Miss said, I'm very grateful for his gym that he opened because 90% of my streams are in his gym. And right now, my content is a lot focused on my fitness journey. So I never really went to the gym before this. And I'm doing this challenge called, am I allowed to say this, Dan? I'm growing my gyat, which is like growing my butt. And that's what I'm doing for the past 30 days. And that's kind of where I am. And it's been great. I've been getting a lot stronger. And I've also been working on my diet. But as an IRL streamer, I try to mix in a lot of different challenges and try to keep the content always interesting. So when I'm at the gym, I like to do like talk to the other gym goers, and I really enjoy interacting with other humans. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, you know, Ms., you're talking about progression, and I love that analogy because I started stream as like a level 1 warlock, and then now I'm like level 60 with the warehouse. But I'm not finished yet. You know, I want to get to 120. How do you actually have time to like progress and be productive while keeping such a 9-to-5 stream schedule? Like you're streaming every day. Are you using that stream time to like think of new ideas? Do you do it off stream, on stream? How do you balance that?
That is a good question. So a lot of people will ask about a streamer and ask, what is it like? What, do you just, because a lot of people perceive streamers, and it makes sense, as, okay, you're telling me you go live, click the go live button, you stream for 5 hours, you get offline, you make a ton of money. That's just all your job is. But what people don't understand for the streamers that are trying to progress and grow their content, this is not a job, streaming is a lifestyle. And that's what you have to understand about it. It is something that you are working on the entire day. It's something that your entire life revolves around and will revolve around. And as much as I find that exciting and love doing it, I know for a lot of people it gets very exhausting because your friends are revolved around it, your growth is revolved around it. And basically, like what he was trying to say is everything about my day revolves around streaming, revolves around, oh, that's a good idea. Ooh, I should stream this. This is good content. And even him right now, he's actually streaming. He's in the front row. Because you can kind of think of everything as content, as gross as that sounds, because it starts to really mess with your brain. But it all can become content. And that's how I think. That's how she thinks. And that's what I do. I just think of everything as content all the time. It's draining for sure sometimes, but I love my job so much, it doesn't really bother me that much. Something that you guys might not know is our CEO actually streams as well. So Dan, tell us about your stream.
Yeah. So when I became CEO, I started streaming regularly, and initially I did it because that way I would learn the tech and learn how to do it. But at this point, I really could stop. But I really do it for the same reason that so many other people do. It's because I enjoy it. And the beauty of it is, you see, I have 3 big streamers here. Okay, I am not a big streamer. Okay, now a small streamer still, I'll get 200 to 300 people at any point in time, or 5,000 or 6,000 people a night, which to anyone else I tell they're stunned. Because what I do is frequently I play the piano and sing, and people are like, "What? You do that?" And then people watch it. But I realize the same thing that everyone starts streaming. When people start streaming, they don't do it to be a star. If they do, they don't keep doing it because it actually takes a lot of work to keep doing it. You do it because of that sense of community that you get. And so when I don't stream because I'm busy, I'm traveling, I'm doing things like this, I feel like this obligation that I need to get back, right? Because I need to get there because you feel like they enjoy what they're doing. And so it's really been, great because I enjoy it, but I also get to, be in touch and understand the life that these people live.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sushi. Why don't you talk now? You didn't talk about where you're going, and in fact, now I will kick this off to you. Now, quick question: which of us do you think is the tech gearhead sitting here on this panel? Just, okay. Sushi, why don't you talk about how you think, where you see live streaming going, and in particular what you're doing in terms of live streaming and trying to explore that.
Yes, I can talk all day on this because once I've discovered essentially new tools that that enhances the creator to expand their creativity, I couldn't go back to like the regular setup. I think the future of streaming is going to be micro productions, where essentially every streamer who started streaming was a producer. As soon as you start hitting that button, as soon as you started making your camera, essentially the most valuable role is the cameraman, because without that, who's going to capture everything? But, it seems as simple as just playing a game, but it becomes more complex when you start thinking of doing a production. And trying to do a production with a huge budget, that's not sustainable. So I think the future is going to be like micro productions. And I see people who are reaching broader audiences like Kai Cenat, where it's not just your typical session. And once the tools have become more available, like AI, and accessible, I think people are going to start like picking up on these things the way I have when OBS to me was like a live Adobe Premiere. So really excited to see more micro productions, and I'm trying to convince Ms. Kiff that's the future as well. So he'll see the clips and he'll be like, okay, he might have something.
No, I totally agree. I do think that micro productions are the future, but I also do see streaming as something, I think streaming is such a different experience than any other social media, where a lot of times you're scrolling on TikTok and you don't care about the person. There's no involvement with that person. Even for YouTube videos, YouTube shorts, a lot of times that person doesn't mean anything to you. And what's very interesting about streaming is that person, if you watch them a few times, you get to learn their personality. And what makes people stay a lot is interacting with that person and almost seeing them as someone that they can be either friends with or have a parasocial relationship with. So what I personally see streaming as in the future, I think streaming is still going to stay minimalistic in a lot of ways. I think people just enjoy clicking on a stream sometimes, having someone communicate with them back and forth, not necessarily needing this massive production or any production at all. Just someone that they can conversate with, I think goes a long way. So that's personally where I think a lot of it's going to go. I think as we, as a society, continue to get more and more, like we don't talk as much, everyone's much more sheltered. I think it's just an easy way for someone to click a button. If they want to talk, they type in a chat, and they have a conversation. But I also do agree with him. I do think it's going to have these micro productions as well. I think Twitch is going to be for everything, and it already is. Such as her drinking, a gallon of water with a straw or whatever she did.
A fork.
A fork, yeah.
Yeah. So why don't I think since we've alluded to it now, Emily in particular does all sorts of streams. So share some of your favorite streams, Emily.
Oh, for sure. So Miz already talked about me being taped to a wall for 15 hours, and I had my friends come and throw eggs at me. That was great. And I love taking such mundane things and making it into the most challenging thing possible. So for example, I built a trampoline. It took me like 8 hours, even though it's just a simple trampoline. And another favor that I like to do is I like to stream me doing Uber Eats. So when I lived in New York City, I would bicycle around the town and drop off people's Uber Eats orders, and it was, of course, a disaster. But the ability to do such a variety of things and be able to share with my audience, and they also enjoy it too, is really fun.
All right, so let's take one of the questions we have on here, which is kind of, touching on some of this, okay, which is, how does the maturity of the streaming industry compare to that of industries such as podcasting and video platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook? Y'all see that one? Any of y'all have thoughts on that? I'm not used to this panel not having something to say.
Maturity of streaming industry compared to the industries such as podcasting, as video games. Yeah, Ms.?
Yeah, I can answer this. I truly do believe that streaming is still in an infancy. I think a lot of things such as TikTok are are not in infancy anymore. Instagram, especially with pictures, I don't really find that too interesting, and I think that as AI develops and continues to grow, I think that it's going to be harder for pictures to really have that oomph when you don't necessarily know if that picture is real or not. But I do think two platforms are going to have a massive future. I think streaming in general, and I think YouTube. I think YouTube, with the growth of AI, is going to be massive because I think people are going to unlock so many different things, such as like what he was saying with production. You're going to have such micro productions that are available that you can make crazy videos like Mr. Beast does for 1/100th of the price as the time goes on. And I think that same ideology is going to happen with streaming. That's why I truly do believe that streaming is still in that infancy state where, yes, you can have people like me sitting there. Just to let people know, I really don't do anything on stream. I just talk out of my ass.
He really doesn't. Okay. Yeah. If it's late at night and you're trying to get to sleep, watch Mrs. Stream. Okay.
Yeah, I'm really not a good streamer. I don't know why I'm here. But I do believe that the industry itself is in a very infant state, and I think as time progresses more and more, I do believe that people are going to continue to grow into streaming and try to get into it. We already have Instagram, who is trying to get into streaming. They're adding their Instagram Live. TikTok Live is now a thing because people understand that, yes, streaming is a growing field still. However, I do think streaming is going to be very interesting in the future because I personally believe that everyone's attention spans are getting so small that it's hard for people to truly pay attention for 3 to 4 hours to watch me sit there. And I believe that a lot of the growth is going to be, like what he said, which is micro productions. People can watch an hour or two of streaming, but it's really hard nowadays to get a kid or somebody to watch 8 hours of Twitch. So I think personally it's going to evolve with micro productions, and I also do think it's going to be much more short form streams.
Well, I think you're bringing up, as you use the phrase short form streaming, okay, so I'll go from there. And by the way, as we say short, there are two parts. One is viewing. The other part is creating, okay? Because the old model of streaming was you're going to sit there and stream for 8 hours, right? And so that might take you 40 hours a week, and that takes a lot of time and energy, okay? And that's one thing that limits how many people can stream in building community. But if I made this analogy, so if you think about YouTube, and YouTube upended the traditional broadcast medium, because if you think of the number of people that could make a 30-minute TV show and the number of people that could make a 10-minute video, a lot more people can make a 10-minute video. Then if you think of TikTok, TikTok did the same thing to YouTube that YouTube did to the traditional broadcast industry, is it expanded by 2 orders of magnitude who could create. And all UGC platforms take advantage of the fact that everyone in this audience is a creator to some degree. Sometimes you have this idea, oh, you're a creator. We're all creators. That's as human beings we create. And so UGC platforms tap into that. So the thing that I know I keep thinking about is if you say, you can argue that YouTube should have seen TikTok coming. Because anything that makes it easier for more people to create is going to expand. So as we think about live streaming, what can happen, I think this is the thing you were talking about, that makes it that more people can live stream so that it becomes something that it becomes more commonplace and more people can watch live streaming in terms of in shorter sessions. And I think that innovation is going to change things a lot.
Well, it already has. I mean, back when I started streaming, you needed a top-of-the-line PC to even think about going live. You needed, it was impossible, and it was in 160p. It was a horrible bit rate. It was horrible. And as time has gone on now, we've progressed so far that you can go live on a phone whenever you want, and it's in good quality. It's not even like it's bad anymore. And I think as we get more of that technology, as more people start being able to just realize you can just click start stream immediately. Any of you can go live right now if you wanted to and be a creator. I think that's going to make Twitch continue to evolve and continue to grow over these next few years.
I want to add a technical answer to that, because I think what you're already doing with the desktop experience, mobilizing it, like being on a phone and watching a stream. Like I was at the airport watching your UFC stream, and it was amazing that the chat was overlaid and I didn't have to sacrifice screen space. But also in coding, I couldn't do 1080p with my cell phone internet. And then with the new AV1 coming out and encoding and streaming becoming more efficient, I think we're going to see a lot of people just on their phone, like watching a live stream. Hey, this guy's on. Everyone watch it on the stream rather than run to your computer.
The beauty of actually having both Sushi and Emily here, okay, is so Sushi does a lot of IRL streaming, and he walks around with this and this and this and this. So he's at the Six Sigma end, and Emily does actually for hours a day more live streaming, I think. And Emily, talk about your rig.
Yeah, so my setup is the lightest it could possibly be because I'm quite lazy. So all I have is a mobile phone and a gimbal. And I don't carry around a backpack or anything. And it's a really tried and true method that I've found. It's really great. And I just like how easy and light it is to carry around.
I really do think going to this point about more people doing it because, as you said, Ms., content is life and life is content. And in fact, that's true with what all of you do, although you spend a lot of time making it's more than just life. But with Emily, you've got your camera there, you just live your life. And now it's there where you can just do it with your phone. You don't even need a gimbal. You can need a simple old, and you can be live streaming. And so I think that really, it's going to transition, and you see this already, this transitioning from gaming being in the center, what I'll call lifestyle live streaming. Of course, Ms., that's what you've always done, right? Kai now, that's effectively what Kai is. He's a lifestyle live streamer, right? And, Emily, that's what you are, right? And so more and more you see many of the top streamers just being lifestyle live streaming, and lots of people going, well, shoot, I can do that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very easy to watch me and say to yourself, I can do that, right? I could sit in front of a camera all day and just talk for, 5 hours and just blab about nothing. Because, yeah, it does sound it really doesn't sound that hard. But like I said, the thing is when you make it your life, because you have to, if you really want to grow it and progress it, it can be draining at times. And it's also something that you have to basically take and say, okay, I'm going to make this my life because not only your friends, the people around you, your friends are typically the people that are going to be your friends in streaming. Extra Emily and I are very close friends, but we stream every day. So in some ways, we're business partners, It starts to affect everything of your life. Personally, I love it, but I know for some people it's very draining, that part, but I think it's great.
All right. Let's transition to this question here in terms of, and we'll start with this one, and then eventually we need to, of course, it's required that we had to sign something to say that we'd talk about AI, otherwise you can't have a panel on Twitch at South by Southwest this year. But they have a question, how do you see the Twitch experience evolving as VR and AR gaming grows in popularity? Any opinions on that?
Immersiveness, because, and then, with the Apple Vision Pro, they're making it so you can really do not just fantasy, but be there with 3D and LiDAR tracking and stuff. So, tech-wise, I think it would get more immersive, and depending on the streamer, if they're a music streamer, if they're really a visual streamer, or even now with some of their phones, you can get into a lifestyle streamer as well.
I will say there's two parts of it. One is about the creator. The other part is about the viewer. And obviously, VR and AR will keep growing in terms of viewers. But one of the nice things about Twitch is you can have it on while you're doing other stuff. And you're watching it while you're doing your homework, or you're cleaning, you're doing this or that. And you don't necessarily always want to be in an immersive VR world as a viewer. So the interesting thing is, obviously, creators can be living in this immersive world, and that creates lots of interesting content. But that doesn't mean we all want to live in that immersive world all the time. In fact, even as it gets popular, if you were going into the VR, AR world, it's kind of like gaming. When you're gaming, you're there. You're not doing anything else, right? Whereas one of the nice things about Twitch is early on, a lot of folks were gamers, but they did a lot of stuff besides gaming, and when they started a game, they had to be fully there. And Twitch was something where they could still be experiencing it while they were doing other stuff. So I do think in creating content, that'll be the case. But I also think, God willing, we will all spend a lot of our time not in a VR world. And the viewers often will be watching, but it'll be another way to create content.
Yeah, I agree. I personally believe, and I'm probably wrong most of the time, that I believe that VR and AR is going to affect everything. I'm sure most of you will agree. But one thing I don't really believe it's going to affect that much is the Twitch experience. I think a lot of people come to Twitch to interact with another human, whether they want to type in chat or just listen to me talk or somebody communicate. That's what Twitch has always been about. And this goes back to what Dan was saying. People, since the beginning of Twitch, have always perceived it as a gaming website. It's hardly ever about the game unless you're one of the best in the world. People just, it's almost like it's a background for them to talk about. But really, you're there for the personality of the streamer. And I don't really think VR and AR is going to affect that massively. I think that people are still going to go to our website because they want to be there for the human that they like. And that they possibly have a feeling of like, yeah, I respect this person, I like this person, not necessarily for some VR or AR experience. Now, that is also something that it depends on the person, right? Like, I think a lot of people would agree with me, but there's also people like him who, you know, that's all he does, and people go to his channel and experience that because he's the best in the business at it. So it really just depends, but I do believe it's not going to affect Twitch.
Well,
as much as
I
other
completely
platforms.
agree in terms of the viewing. One interesting thing that everyone in here may not be familiar with, there's this thing called Vtubing. And really, this is kind of this variant of VR AR. So Vtubing is basically, you have a Twitch streamer, okay, but it's a virtual avatar, okay? And so far, the technology has gotten where it's fairly expensive to set up a full 3D model and a full rig, but it's amazing what many of these VTubers do. So like one like Fillion will be doing backflips on the stream because she has the, a suit that allows her to be moving around, and then you see this embodiment. And one of the things that you see, Iron Mouse is another one that's gotten really big that will do all sorts of things. There are all these people that actually, they are expressing themselves, okay, but they aren't comfortable actually having a camera on them, okay? But they are expressing, interestingly, sometimes exactly who they are inside, because I know some of the VTubers, and the interesting thing is, as you see them on stream and then you meet them in person, sometimes they're similar. Sometimes this personality that's coming out in the VTubing is sort of who they are inside, but they don't necessarily feel comfortable expressing that in the real world. And I do think it opens up this opportunity for people who don't want a camera on them, but still want to build a community. Right? And as that gets cheaper, it becomes more and more easier for anyone that maybe they don't want themselves to be out front, but they want to build that community, because you are building a true connection with a real human being behind there. It's just you don't see their face on the camera.
Yeah, and you know about the true connection with the human being. That's what really started my fire on Twitch, because essentially, what a chat likes to do is backseat. I try to harness that connection, and instead, hey, chat, teach me how to weld, teach me how to do simple soldering, and they get involved. They're like, you're doing it wrong, do it like this, and then it's like free teachers, because they're giving you there's
not only free teachers, they're paying you to teach you.
Yeah, they're paying me. I'm getting paid to learn, and that's the most amazing thing is. You get viewers from all around the world, contractors, electricians, plumbers. I figured out how to plumb on stream, Dan. Like, I did some plumbing as Mario. I tried to make it entertaining. I did a Mario effect and everything, and I tried to keep the accent and gamify it. So I love just gamifying life. I think that's another thing I like to see on Twitch.
All right, let's take this question here. So, Ms., they're asking, how do productions such as Schooled fare in terms of growth for the channel compared to daily casual streams? Are they worth it?
That is a great question. So if you don't know what Schooled is, it is basically, I would say, are you smarter than a fifth grader? It's basically that. I stole it. I'll admit it. I twisted it a little bit. I don't have the kids on the show, but that's basically what I took. And it's a huge production that I put on, and I bring on 6 streamers at a time, try to get the most popular ones so it actually gets viewership. And I ask them a bunch of questions. At the end, the winner gets $50,000. So I spend a lot of money on it. And the thing is with those kind of productions is you put so much effort, you're putting so much time into this. Is it worth it for the growth of your channel? And that's a very interesting question because the answer is no, it's actually not. Putting so much effort into things like that, what you're doing is you're basically, if you have mediocre streams, let's say 5 out of 10s, but then you have those which are 10 out of 10s, well, those people are going to come for that stream, and then they're going to leave right when you go back to 5 out of 10s. What you need to do in order to continuously have growth is you need to continuously have good content. And while those are good once in a while, those big productions to really show off who you are and maybe get some people talking about you, they don't grow you. The best way to grow on Twitch is one is collaborations, but 2 is to consistently have not amazing content, because you will burn out, but just good content. And you almost don't want to try to have amazing content all the time, because you're going to fail sometimes. You're not going to always have those top-tier streams. And those viewers on Twitch can get very mean, and they can start saying, like, oh, well, you suck, you fell off, I hate you. They use the letter L nowadays when they talk badly about you. So I would say consistently having good streams is much better than having okay streams, a really good stream, and then just okay streams after that.
Emma?
I wanted to mention that although Ms. Kiff's school show didn't really grow his channel, it was a huge catalyst into cementing my career, so thank you, Ms. So it did grow me. Going off of his point that collaboration is one of the most efficient way to grow your channel, I completely agree, because I was able to really expose myself to a brand new audience by being on his school show, and I ended up winning the 2nd season, and that kind of just helped me fly out to Texas to collab with Miz, and then that's kind of why I'm here today, is because of his show.
I think it's a good point, because this question was about the growth of Miz's channel, right? But in fact, a lot of times it is the growth of the participants' channel and giving back to the community, right? Which is something that I know Miz has often thought about in terms of facilitating smaller streamers and going on. And so let's take this question of collaboration, okay? Because that's something, as they know, and some of y'all may know, one thing, my personal feeling is, if people ask, I'm a streamer, how do I grow? I say collaborations is the foundation of growth on Twitch. And that's because people spend all their time on the channel page. And that's why Twitch works. Because on TikTok, you're always going on to the next streamer. On Twitch, you're staying, and that's what creates the community. But the problem is, then that makes discovery hard. Because actually, people are all on the channel pages, not on our homepage, just looking for something new. So if you want to grow, collaborate. So one thing that we've been working on is this thing we call Stream Together, which is to make it very easy for people to just hang out and talk to each other, where one person can be streaming, 3 people can come on and chat, and can come on and just think of it as a video call on Twitch, but the idea is everyone can be streaming together, so that way it makes it a lot easier, because in fact, it's actually really hard to sit and stare at a screen and talk for 4 or 5 hours. Okay? Emily, she's out in the physical world, so she's interacting with people, right? But it's hard, and it's much easier to talk to somebody else, okay? And I do think that collaborations ultimately, like if we can solve to where we can radically increase the amount of collaborations between streamers, then you get more people exposed to new streamers. So I just want to throw it out there in terms of thinking about collaborations and how all y'all think about that in terms of streaming and growth.
Yeah, I think collaboration, it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. I think if you collaborate with people who you mesh with, it'll innovate the space even more, because now instead of 1 brain, you got 2 brains, and then 4 brains, and you start doing all these organizations together and events together. But I mean, yeah, love collaborations. I'll throw it off to Miz about collabs.
Oh, crap. Well, collaborations, like you said, he stole my line. It makes everybody grow. My whole career is collaborations. All I do is hang out with other people. Because I just enjoy it. I love, I hang out with her all the time. I hang out with a bunch of other streamers, and we all grow each other. They'll come on my stream, and yes, they'll get growth from it on theirs, But it's interesting that, yes, but I also get something out of it every time. My channel gets good content. So yes, they might grow their channels from being on my stream a lot, but I'm getting content out of it. So in the end, I'm a winner too. So I think collaboration is by far the most important thing, but it's not only the most important thing if you want to grow as a content creator, it's also the easiest. Because like what Dan was saying, it is so hard to sit there for 5 hours a day. It might sound easy because you're like, oh, I could do that. Good luck when you have no stories to tell again. You know, I've told every story I could possibly think of in 3 days. And I'm like, what the hell do I say after this? So, you know, you can start making up stories, and that's what I've been doing for years. But the best thing you can do is have friends to talk to and, you know, just bounce off of and make content with. It really is good. It's the best thing you could possibly do.
Which is, I'll jump in on this and then hand over to Emily, that, you know, you can see this on this panel. Like, I could have done me blabbering on for 45 minutes and y'all would be half asleep, okay? Now, I probably would have had to spend 10 hours preparing whatever I was gonna blabber on for an hour, okay? Whereas, if I have 3 friends here, we can sit and do something, well, I hope it's interesting, for an hour with, let's just say, minimal amount of preparation. I won't get into how much preparation it took, but it doesn't take much, because if you have interesting people, then this is what we're made as human beings.
Is this going to grow my stream, Dan?
Emily, Ms., we're trying to all grow off of your stream.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We'll get Kai here if you want to grow your stream.
Nice.
Okay. Cool. Emily.
I was going to mention how I've tried to do TikToks and YouTube Shorts and long-form YouTube videos, but nothing has been as effective as doing collabs. So I'm really grateful, like, for OTK, the organization that I'm in, which is 10 talented streamers, and we kind of just bounce ideas off of each other, and being able to talk to them and have them on my stream has been tenfold more effective than putting all my effort and energy into doing short form. Although I do want to kind of focus more on short form in the future because there is such a wide audience there, I have seen the most success with collabs.
She's lying. The reason why she doesn't do that is she doesn't want to pay an editor to do her shorts.
Well,
she is very cheap.
I want to make sure I pay them well, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing fine on Twitch so far without the short form focus, so hopefully in the next few months I'll pay up.
It actually is a good example, though, that people often think, oh, well, you just put the video up there and you make money. The reality is, if you want to do well on the other platforms, you have to keep making content, okay? And some people who live stream are good at live streaming, right? Some people are good at short form, right? Figure out what you're good at. And one of the questions here that Lauren asked, what role do other social media platforms play in your Twitch strategy? So there's 2 parts of that. One is my strategy for Twitch as a platform. The other is their strategy for as a creator. And I'll say my strategy for Twitch as a platform, I think too often platforms try to be all things to all people, okay? And so one of the most common ideas within Twitch was like, oh, y'all should spend more on VOD so you can be like YouTube, okay? YouTube is a really good YouTube, it turns out, okay? And Twitch is a good Twitch, okay? And too often platforms try to be the everything platform where I'm gonna do everything, and viewers don't want that. Viewers want platforms that do what they do well. And so, in fact, from a company perspective, my strategy is short-form content is great for discovery, right? People are out there on TikTok, okay? I want my creators, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens on Twitch every single day. And I want to make it easier for Emily to create a bunch of shorts, okay, so that she doesn't have to work as hard. Right? Ideally, she can just press a few buttons and AI will do that for her. So she could have a bunch of shorts. So all the fun stuff that happens on her stream, there are 20 shorts and TikToks that are floating around the ecosystem that are then going to be a manifestation. And then that's going to grow her because more people will be exposed to her and that will grow Twitch. So I'm a big believer is let the content find their audience. And right now, there is a lot of audience on short-form platforms, and we're a long-form platform. So short-form content, get your content out there, get them back. If you want them to pull up a chair and stay for a while and build community, then they'll watch you on Twitch.
That is the correct way to do it, because the truth is, it is very hard. You got to think about what you're trying to do as a Twitch streamer. You are trying to ask somebody, hey, you know there's Netflix, you know there's Hulu, you know there's Disney Plus or whatever the hell else there is. I want you to sit there and watch me for hours and hours and hours while I play video games or I talk. And that is such a hard thing to get someone to truly do that, especially from short-form content. To try to get somebody from TikTok, who a lot of times when you're scrolling on TikTok, almost every time, you may see a video that has 7 million, 10 million, 50 million views. You don't remember their face after 3 seconds. You don't remember their name when you're even on the page. And to try to make that person say, that's an interesting TikTok, let me click their channel, let me see their Twitch, let me watch them on Twitch, is a very difficult thing to do. It is a very impossible thing, but the thing is the new creators on Twitch, I'm old. The new creators on Twitch, these guys like Kai Cenat and Jinxie and a lot of these new people, they're only growing from TikTok because their communities are so centric on those websites and they go viral almost every second that they're pushing people to the Twitch community and they get to 50 to 100,000 viewers in 5 seconds. In 5 minutes, these guys will have 50,000 viewers. It's insane. So using these platforms is the only way to get growth nowadays. You're never going to be able to scroll down on Twitch and find somebody with 1 or 2 viewers. You have to do short-form content. But it's something where, yes, like you might get thousands, tens of thousands of views on short-form content, and that might not push anybody to go to your Twitch. But if you continuously do it over the course of a year or 2 years, you probably will see something grow up, and if not, listen, you just suck. It's the truth.
I mean, actually, he jokingly says you suck. I do think that's people have how do I grow? And often we talk about these things like collaboration, create short-form content, blah, blah, blah. Well, often the thing that's left out is create good content. Because it is absolutely the fact that there are people creating good content out there that then don't grow right away. There are not people out there that grow big that don't create good content. Because in fact, creating interesting, engaging content ultimately is the foundation. Now, this goes to this question. They have a question. Do you think there'll be a reckoning around the culture of constant content? YouTuber burnout is an acknowledged issue. I wonder if it's coming to Twitch. So there are 2 types of burnout, but I will look on this issue of creator burnout, okay? Because this idea that it doesn't take work is just wrong. Now, the reality is people's careers evolve, right? I don't do the same thing I did when I was 23. I don't have the same job I had that I was 23. My life is very different, okay? How many of you are doing the exact same thing you were 10 years ago or 15 years ago? The interesting thing is sometimes creators evolve and decide to want to do other things. They're live streaming and then they want to do short form. They want to do movies. They want to manage. They want to run a company. That's okay. The reality is work takes energy. And we keep thinking like burnout is, yes, I mean, there are a lot of folks in every venue that burn out. And that's because as human beings, we want different things. And that's okay. You know, then there are more people coming up that want that. I mean, in other words, you know, so how do you think from a career perspective about burnout and continuing to do what you're doing?
I think when I talk to a lot of creators, there is a lot of creative burnout. And it's mostly because some of the tools we have just don't work the way they expected it to. So as the tools are evolving and AI is becoming more you can do it yourself, I think they're gonna see more possibilities in the creative aspects. And I think creators need to know, like, there is an R&D budget in every company. They work on something and like you go to this convention, you see what is this thing they're doing here, why? You know, and if you keep investing into something, you might come up with something special. And that's a thing I do and how I kind of found my form of not creatively burning out is because I had to build the tools to do that. And I sacrificed a ton of viewership for that. But I want to see myself doing this past 10 years, past 20 years. So I reinvested in myself to see what can I enjoy doing, even if it's just by myself.
Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to answer this? I mean, who's not burnt out in their job, honestly? Like, everyone's a little burnt out after a while. I think that a lot of streamers get burnt out. I know creativity is a burnout because I think a lot of people just truly get bored of what they're doing. You know, they hit those highs of viewership. They've made their millions of dollars. They're 28 years old. What do you do next? Well, I don't want to make a business. I'm too lazy to do this. I'm just going to keep playing video games because that's what I'm good at and I know what I'm doing. And I think that part is what burns out a lot of these creators because they just get to a point where they're just like, well, I've been doing this for so long. I've kind of done it all. What's next? And I think a lot of these creators' problems, and this is similar on YouTube, is they just don't try to have progression in their life, and they're afraid to do anything different because they don't want their communities to leave them. A lot of people, and this is a very interesting thing about Twitch, you will have some streamers get 5,000, 10,000 viewers playing one specific game, but if they ever left that game, they go down to 1,000 viewers because their community only will watch them for that game because that's what they've known them for, that's what they care about. Oh, you stopped playing League of Legends? I'm not watching you. And because of that, these creators are stuck and they don't know what to do because they've never, in the 5, 10 years they've been streaming, built another side of their community. And because of that, they get burnt out. And because of that, they get stuck. And I would say, how can they avoid that? Recognizing that one day that will be a thing and building a community that can go past the League of Legends. Maybe you start doing a little bit of talking in the beginning of your stream. Maybe you try to build something on stream and then play League of Legends, so that way you grow an audience that isn't there just for League of Legends, that might be there for you as well.
And I actually think it comes down to this idea of being willing to take risk. Because in fact, burnout comes because you keep doing the same thing. And this is the same in every single job that all of you have. The idea that, oh, if I take a step back, will I be as successful? If I do something different, as soon as I've realized some success, you worry that you won't realize that success elsewhere, and you want to maintain that success, and then you get stagnant in your job because you're bored by it. You have to be willing to take a step back and accept that, you know what, actually you may not have the same success right away. And actually it's by taking risks that eventually we keep innovating and doing new things. So, you know, I go, foundation is, and it's the foundation in life. If you're unwilling to take risks, you're gonna burn out because you're gonna get tired of doing the same thing. And that's true for a creator. That's also true if you work at Starbucks.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's
so
facts.
let's do this. We've got 4 minutes and we've got to talk about AI again. It's a requirement here. Okay.
That's a joke, by the way, right?
yes, it is not a requirement. But I'll go ahead and kick it off because I have a background in AI, and I'll throw out an idea to this group just to riff off of. Because as I said, you know, first of all, people they talk about AI as, oh no, it's going to take over things. I don't bother with that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Ms. has already made the point that Twitch is there because of the human there. So one of the things that I find interesting, I think for Twitch, AI will be a boom because in fact, it'll give you stimulus to react to. Okay, and it'll help you amplify your creativity and it'll help you express that. So I'll throw a concept out and then I'll ask y'all like to riff off of the concept and how to use. Take this idea of VTubing, these animated like 3D. What if you had a, you know, animated version of yourself, okay, that you could interact with, okay, that also could be on your stream when you're not there. Okay, in terms of engaging with your community, to what degree do you see AI helping you be creative? Okay, especially as you start talking about generative AI and the ability of them to engage, but not as a replacement for you, but as an augmentation of what you do.
A great co-host. I would have a great co-host, and it's the closest thing to cloning your personality.
I think my chat would hate me. I mean, they already do, but I think they would be just, I truly think that if I did anything like that, I'm much more of like a personal streamer. And like I said, it varies from person to person, but if I did that for my community, if I had AI involved, I think they would see it as much more of a gimmick. I think they would find it funny for about a day, maybe 2, and they'd be like, all right, we don't care. That's basically what I think with AI. I don't really think it's going to affect me at all. I wish it did, honestly. I wish AI would come and take my job so I could just stop doing, you know what I mean? Like, hell yeah.
Actually, I will say, I think it would be very interesting to AI to make an upbeat, bouncy Mizkiv. Okay? I think
Please do.
I think that could be very interesting. An extra Emily version of Mizkiv. I think that would be very interesting that he would interact with.
I agree. I don't know if I would really like having AI character with me all the time. I think it would be fun in doses, but I might have like an identity crisis, like, oh my God, do they like my AI version more than me? Or like just feel kind of strange about it. But I do think that AI could be very good for like VTubers and whatnot. But for me personally, I don't think I would like the AI augmentation.
All right. I'm going to take one of the questions here. If there was one piece of tech innovation you wish you could bring to Twitch tomorrow, what would it be and why? Okay, so I'll do it quickly. We've got like a minute and 45 seconds, so then we'll go and maybe we'll round this up with this. So for me, it is, again, making it some type of innovation that somebody's streaming and making it very easy to find other people to collaborate with. So you could just show up and you say, I want to create content and I want to create it with somebody else, so that way it's easier. So just like you can always turn on a video game and start playing it, you can always find someone to talk to and start collaborating with. So for each of you, what's one piece of innovation that you'd like Twitch to deliver to you?
To bring to Twitch tomorrow?
Yeah.
The thing we talked about, an AI that can cut up my VOD, my long form VOD, and then just post it on all my socials. You know, don't need an editor.
I would love that.
Yeah, I would probably say exactly what he said. I really am not a big AI guy. I'm sorry to everyone here, but I would personally just want something like that, where it's just you cut it up, goes on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all that stuff. Great. Hopefully some of them come watch me. I don't really think I need anything else for AI.
Yeah. The first thing that pops in my head is I want like maybe the viewer experience to be more immersive. That could be something like I'm like imagining like when you're chatting, like the emotes are bigger or something like that. Like nothing too crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we will wrap it up because I'd like to be on time and we have 18 seconds. So thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I want to thank this group. They all agreed to show up for me because I badgered them into it.